Hey everybody, it's Grandmaster Ben Feingold here with a new video series, the Queen C2 Nimzo Indian, which is my personal favorite with white. For about 37 years I've been playing it. So the Nimzo Indian starts like this. It could transpose, but this is the usual move order. White plays d4, c4, knight c3, and black pins the knight to stop white from playing e4. Otherwise white would have a pretty big center. And this is a very popular opening for the last 100 years. The Nimzo Indian, named after Nimzovich, but Nimzovich Indian, that's too much. Okay, and here white has many moves. a3 is a move, knight f3, e3, bishop g5, f3, and the move we're talking about in this lecture, which is probably the most common, but it wasn't when I started playing it, is queen c2. Some people call this the Capablanca variation, because he played it, and then Yasser Seirawan played it a lot, and I played it a lot. Not that I was a good player when I played it a lot, but then everybody started playing it. Okay, so black can play many moves here, and I could give a 2-hour lecture, like probably a 10-part 2-hour. I could probably give a 20-hour series on the Queen C2 Nimzo Indian because there's so much. But I want to give you the basics and explain it to you. So the queen does double duty here. It defends the knight. So if they take the knight, we can take with the queen and not double our pawns. And it defends e4. So we want to play e4. So that's the two things that it does. What does it not do? It doesn't help white castle. White's king side gets developed later, and the truth hurts. Okay, so this particular video, we're going to talk about the move c5. And c5 makes a lot of sense because the queen on d1 isn't defending the d pawn anymore. So immediately white has an issue. The most common move is to take on c5 because it's a pawn. And now players with black play one of three moves usually. Knight a6, bishop takes c5, or castles. And they're all playable. They're all okay. After knight a6, generally we play a3 because now bishop c5 doesn't make any sense because that's why black played knight a6. So this is the main variation. And now white has two ways of playing. White can play f3, never play f3, which obviously stops that. Or white can just play b4 and say, yeah, you can go there, I don't care. And in this position, white again has two moves that are pretty popular, queen d4 and queen b2. Queen d4, I think, is more popular, or at least it was when I was playing. And now if it's white's turn to move, which it's not, white's threatening f3 and the knight's trapped. Never play f3 unless it wins a knight. So the main variation is d5. The knight now has d6. Now a boring way to play, which gives white no advantage, that's just my game, is to take on d5. That's usually what I do. c5 is the way you try to get an advantage. And then after c5, the knight's trapped again. And what black usually sacrifices a piece because white's position is a bit silly. So here, takes, the knight's trapped. If you play queen a5 check, which is fine, then I play queen b4, I have to. And you can't take with the queen because your knight's hanging. And if you trade queens, my pawn on b4 is defending my c5 pawn, and your knight's not very good. Now you could do that and play knight c3, but that's not good. I have a passed pawn, two bishops. So the main line is to play queen c7. You take your piece. Rook to b8. The queen has to go somewhere. Let's go check, I guess. Bishop to d7. And basically, black is saying, I have a lot of compensation for a piece. My rook's good. These pawns are terrible and probably get captured. This is ridiculous. And the only thing that's moved in the first 16 moves of the game is the queen. So black has good compensation. Depends, if you like being a piece up or you like having the compensation. And black can also not play queen a5 check and, just let him take and develop the same way. But I think queen a5 check is considered best. I don't do this because it's too complicated. So I usually just, take here or play bishop b2 or something like that. Something boring. Okay, so that's one way to play. Another way to play after d takes c5 on move 5 is to take with the bishop immediately. And here you can't play bishop g5 because bishop takes f2 and knight g4 check, and you lose your bishop, which I've shown in other videos. So usually I play knight f3, and there's a variation where black doesn't want white to move his bishop out, so plays queen b6, threatening the pawn, and then after e3, black just moves his pieces back, and this bishop's on c1. I've had white in this position many times, and I like white, but it's not exciting. It's sort of a strategical game. And black could just play normal moves, like castles, or d5, or b6, or knight c6. And that's, again, a strategical game. It's not super tactical. And I have a lot of games in those variations. And the third way to play for black after dc5 is to castle. And what I usually do is I play a3 here. And now if they take my knight, which they don't do, they're not going to win their pawn back. I'm going to play b4. So I'm going to be a pawn up, and I have the two bishops. Knight e4 doesn't work because I have queen here to e3. And save my pawn more later. So nobody plays bishop takes c3. Everybody plays bishop takes c5. And white has a couple ways of playing here. He can just develop his pieces, knight here, bishop here or here, and e3, bishop e2. Or he can play the same way, but play b4 and bishop b2 and fianchetto his bishop. I normally don't do that, but that's okay. Normally I play knight f3 here, and it's not super exciting, and so forth. So that's the c5 variation, and if black castles here and white doesn't play a3, that'll actually transpose into another line that I'm going to show you in another video. So thanks for watching Queen C2 Nimzo Indian 5-part series. I hope you enjoyed the other videos. This has been Feingold. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.